Good evening. Good evening.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It is such an honor and a privilege to know you. I am so humbled that you accepted my invitation for this event. And everyone who's watching, most of you, if not, we already know that Dr. Simmons is the guru of all things Black preaching. She is.
I don't know about all that.
She is the author of Doing the Deed. And if you do not have this book in your collection, you need to go to Amazon and get this book right now. It's only $12. You spend more on lunch during the week than you would on this book. So I challenge everyone to go to Amazon and pick up this book. She is one of the editors for Preaching with Sacred Fire. The Minister's Manual, which is also on Amazon. I have that book. The founder of the African American Lectionary, the founder of the Women and Color Ministry Project, and the mentor to so many sons and daughters in ministry. And so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started with our conversation tonight. So, Dr. Simmons, for the past 10 months, we've been in what we all know as a pandemic. And preaching has really kind of taken on a new meaning, and a lot has evolved as far as preaching goes and the church. So can you tell us in your own words, what does preaching beyond the pandemic mean to you? Dr. Simmons, I think she is frozen. Dr. Simmons, can you hear me?
Just waiting for the buildings to
Yes,
reopen.
I can hear you now.
Okay. As I was saying, preaching beyond the pandemic means different things to different people. For some folks, it means they just can't wait for the building to reopen. And they're like, I'm doing this little online stuff because I have to, but I can't wait for the building to reopen. For some people, it means that they're going to, after the pandemic, they're going to mix. They're going to do a mix of online. It'll still be there. They'll be back in the buildings, but their main focus become online. They saw that once they went on, they had more people listening, were able to record broadcast earlier and thing. And so beyond the for me just means watching people as they try to figure out what best suits them and how to deal with all of these new technological platforms. So I'm just watching to see who's going to stick to that building, who's going to do the mix, and who's going to mainly be online. They may have a building, they may not. There are churches, more and more churches are predominantly now online. They're online.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Simmons, for your insight into this. And so, as we look at more churches moving online and the possibility of buildings not opening back up, what strategy or strategies should preachers or pastors employ in this season?
Well, I think there are two strategies at least. I'm sure there are others, but two come to mind. One, I think preachers are going to have to learn how to be digital. That's Figital. I got that from Lance Watson, digital. And they need to also be more tri vocal. Okay. By digital, I mean, when you're it means that you're going to have an awareness of two audiences now and forevermore. Now and forevermore. And so that's also going to impact how you preach physically, because some of the things that work well in person look strange online. If you tend to be one of those people who's a little bit loud or you flail your arms a lot, that doesn't go over as well online. It works in person, but not that well online. So preachers are going to have to adjust, pay attention, record themselves, look and see, and make the adjustments after they watch themselves. By trivocal, I think what watching the preaching now all for the last almost 11 months, what preachers seem to be missing online are sober. The sermons they have a sagely aspect, they have a priestly aspect, and they have a prophetic aspect. By the sagely, he means that they pick up on your doctrines as
Mm-hmm.
a church, what you all believe. By priestly, that's what the typical sermon, priestly or pastoral, that's what we typically get. And all of us know basically what we mean when we say the prophetic. Now, on a given Sunday, you may pick one of those areas and lean on it more. So one Sunday you may do something on doctrine and it may be basically pastoral, but you will always remember to throw in or put in the prophetic, okay,
Mm-hmm.
as well, and to make sure that you include something about your um, preachers, and I hope they start to really teach classes on this. More people start to write books and etc. Because that's our universe from here on in. Can you hear me? Put it in the comments and let me know if you can hear me now. Talking about digital and trivocal pre. Think I think you can hear me now. Um, the other thing that I want to go ahead and get to, and let me know if you are hearing me. Uh, Cynthia and others, can you hear me now? Somebody let me know. Send me some love. Send me a message. Let me know if you can hear me. Okay. Great, 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 great. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Sometimes these platforms have a mind of their own, and you have to go forward. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let me say a little bit about um, preachers. What will make preachers effective? Um, how can preachers make sure that they're being effective when they present messages? I know it's a loaded question, but let me see if I can give a brief but thick answer. Effective preaching. Number one, as always, and you all have heard this before, but it bears repeating, we need to make sure that the context and the content match. You want to make sure you're paying attention to the people you're preaching to, okay? The content ought match the context. If you're preaching to eighth graders, that content ought match that context. If you're preaching to an audience with 4 or 5 generations in it, your content ought match that. You ought set it up so that everyone across every generation can reach it. Also, more and more, if we want to be effective as preachers, especially as African American preachers, we need to divest our preaching from Eurocentrism. Just divest from it. Meaning that stop using so many Eurocentric sources. You know those sources I'm talking about. They're the ones that make you believe that somehow a Jesus who was born and reared in an Afro Asiatic region of the world ended up with blonde hair, blue eyes, a thin nose, and thin lips. Okay. And what was happening, of course, just as they were whitenizing Jesus, they were also whitenizing religion to the point where if you listen to some black folk, they actually think you have to hunt to find the black presence in the Bible when the entire Bible was written in an Afro Asiatic culture. Okay. So, um, so we need to do some divesting from Eurocentrism. And a lot of it's found in our allegiance to evangelical preaching. Okay. We need to do some divesting and believe our own people, use our own resources. Okay. And respect our culture and the way we understand faith, religion, and the scripture. Okay. You understand scripture differently if your foreparents were in the hull of the state slave ship as opposed to being on top, on the deck of the slave ship. That's a difference. That's a difference, and we should never forget it. The other thing, if you want to be effective today in preaching online and in person, we've got to do more with our exegesis to be more creative. Unfortunately, when we talk about exegesis, uh, so often
Okay.
um, people think that when you're talking about exegesis, you're saying you do all the work and learn what you need to learn and don't bring too much of that to the pulpit. You don't want to sound like a professor. Okay. That's not great exegesis. People want to hear sound exegesis. They want you to bring that meat to the pulpit. They just don't want you to be dull about it. So find more creative ways to show the people your exegesis. They really do want it. They can tolerate it. They need it. So do that. Okay. And I say this one all the time in terms of being effective. Read, 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 read. Read, write, read some more. Write some more. Okay. And because your vocabulary will increase and words matter. Words change things. I know some of you may have heard Amanda Gorman during the inauguration. The words just both of her books to way up on the Amazon. Really want to be effective, and we're not talking so much about structural things right here, but we're talking about the overall approaches that everyone does when preaching. Is you need to treat, okay, uh,
Yes, I'm still here, Dr. Simmons.
okay, all right, all right, all right.
Oh,
No, I think
I
that was on me. I think that was on me at that point.
okay, I got kicked off too, but thank you. So, you were talking about some of the things that some things will work well for online that won't work in person and vice versa. So,
Mhm.
how can we make sure that our messages are effective, that we're getting our messages across to the people?
I think Dr. Simmons, her internet connection is acting up, and we lost her. So, those of you who are watching while we wait to get Dr. Simmons back, drop in the comments some of the things that you have been doing during the pandemic that have been helpful for you as you navigate, um, as you preach through the pandemic. And now that we are hopefully on the other side, things that and strategies that have worked for you and helping you to be effective and helping you to reach your members and your congregations. So if you could drop some of those in the comments, I'm sure those who are watching may be able to find those things that you have done. They may be able to use those in their own preaching and teaching to help better reach their congregations more effectively. And also, while we're waiting on Dr. Simmons to come back, I said at the beginning of the broadcast, for those of you who may not have heard, we are going to be blessing Dr. Simmons at the end of this broadcast with a love offering. She does not know that we're going to be doing this, but she does so much for us as preachers. She pours so much into Black preachers. She has many sons and daughters in ministry that she mentors, and we just want to be a blessing to her tonight, as we certainly cannot pay her for all of her contributions to Black preaching and what she has meant to us. But we certainly would like to give her a token of our appreciation to show that um, that we that we appreciate her. And then if you are not joining her on Mondays at 12 noon, straight from her Facebook page, she does preaching and preachers, where she brings theologians online, she brings preachers online, she brings um, anybody that's in ministry who can contribute to the art of Black preaching. She has those sessions for us, even potpourri sessions, where she just throws out different little nuggets. And if you missed the session this past Monday with the Black theologians, you definitely need to go back to her page and watch the replay, and it would definitely bless your whole life, as we like to say. I'm going to reach out to Dr. Simmons to see if she is not able to come back on the stream. Give me just one moment, and let's see if we can get her back on. And I do apologize for the technical difficulties. Everyone, I do apologize immensely, as Dr. Simmons is having some technology issues, and for some reason, she's not able to get back onto the stream. We tried to switch over to Zoom, and we're trying to get her on Zoom. So if you can give us just a few more minutes to see if we can get her on Zoom. Zoom's not letting her on either. So we don't know what's going on with the technology, but give me just a few more minutes. And if we can't get her on, we may have to reschedule and come back. So give me just a couple more minutes. Thank you all so much for your patience. Okay, those of you still watching, we are going to be going live. We're going to end this stream, and we're coming back on through the sisters group. So Dr. Simmons is able to get on the Zoom, and we're going to broadcast from Zoom. And so if you all could come on to Zoom, and we will meet you over there. And again, we do apologize for the technical difficulties. Thank you for joining us.